When your child starts yelling, you probably raise your voice without meaning to. And the moment you do, everything gets louder, faster, harder. But here's what most parents don't realize. The louder you get, the less your child can actually hear you. Their brain effectively shuts down its logic center and stops processing the meaning of your words. And the fastest way to break through, it's not volume, it's silence. In fact, whispering, done the right way, can stop a tantrum in 30 seconds or less. Let me show you how. Picture this. Your child is screaming about screen time, or homework, or whatever today's battle happens to be. Their voice is getting louder, their face is red, and you can feel your own heart racing. You tell yourself you're going to stay calm this time. You promised yourself you wouldn't yell. But then it happens. Your voice rises to match theirs. Maybe it's frustration, maybe it's desperation, maybe you just need them to hear you. And for a second, just a second, you think the volume will break through. That if you're loud enough, stern enough, firm enough, they'll snap out of it. Except they don't. They get louder too. The situation spirals. And afterwards, when the house finally goes quiet, you're left with that familiar weight in your chest. This isn't who you wanted to be as a parent. I get it. You're not doing this because you're a bad parent. You're doing it because you're human. Because when your nervous system detects threat, even if that threat is just a defiant 7-year-old, it reacts. And here's what most parents don't understand. When you yell, you're not just expressing frustration. You're actually triggering a biological response in your child's brain that makes it impossible for them to calm down. Not harder. Impossible. Let me explain why. Most parents think yelling works like a reset button. Like a volume dial you can turn up to break through the emotion. But here's the thing. That's not how the human nervous system works. When you yell at a child who's already escalated, their brain doesn't process your words. It processes your intensity. Their nervous system reads your raised voice as confirmation that the situation is dangerous. And what does a nervous system do when it detects danger? It doubles down. Fight or flight kicks in even harder. This happens because of a phenomenon called emotional contagion. We are biologically hardwired to unconsciously match the emotional state of people around us. When you're loud, your child's brain mirrors that intensity. When you're tense, they tense up. They're not being defiant, they're being human. Here's what's actually happening. Your child is already in fight or flight mode. Their prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain that handles reasoning and self-control, has essentially gone offline. They're operating entirely from their primitive brain, the part that only knows survival. And when you yell, you're adding fuel to a fire that's already burning. Now, I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty. Your instinct to raise your voice isn't a character flaw. It's biological. When you feel threatened by your child's behavior, your nervous system activates too. You're both trapped in the same escalation cycle. But here's where it gets interesting. If raising your voice makes things worse, logic says you should do the opposite, right? Lower your voice. Whisper. Except most parents think that's ridiculous. My kid doesn't respond to quiet, they just get louder. I hear that constantly. But what if I told you that's exactly why it works? Let me show you what's happening in your child's brain the moment you whisper. When you lower your voice to a whisper in the middle of a heated moment, something remarkable happens. Think about it in adult terms for a second. Imagine you're in a heated argument with someone, and suddenly they lower their voice and speak softly. What happens? You probably stop mid-sentence. You lean in. You have to shift gears to even hear them. That shift? That's not just psychological, it's neurological. It's called the orienting response, a survival mechanism. When the environment suddenly changes, especially when something unexpected happens, the brain immediately shifts attention to figure out what's going on. It's the same reason you automatically look up when someone stops talking mid-sentence. For a child in fight or flight mode, a whisper is completely unexpected. They're braced for more volume, more intensity. Their nervous system is prepared for battle, and then quiet. That unexpectedness interrupts the escalation cycle. Their brain literally pauses to reorient. But it's not just about surprise. Whispering does something else that's even more powerful. It triggers what's called co-regulation. Co-regulation is the process where one nervous system helps calm another. When you whisper, you're signaling to your child's nervous system that you are calm. And because of that biological mirroring we talked about, their system begins to match yours. Your soft tone signals their vagus nerve to kickstart the body's relaxation response. Heart rate slows, breathing deepens. The prefrontal cortex starts coming back online. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds too simple, too gentle for a child who's screaming or throwing things. And I'm not suggesting whispering is some magic spell. But here's what the research shows, and what parents consistently report. Whispering doesn't just change your child's behavior, it changes you first. When you whisper, you have to regulate yourself. You have to physically calm your own nervous system to speak softly. You have to slow down, breathe, and center yourself. And that self-regulation is exactly what your child needs to witness. Because they're not going to calm down because you told them to. They're going to calm down because you showed them how. Now, here's the part you've been waiting for. The actual technique. This takes less than 30 seconds, but every single step matters. Miss one, and you'll wonder why it didn't work. Let me walk you through the exact technique. Here's how it actually works in real life. A parent recently shared how she was stuck in daily screaming matches with her 8-year-old daughter over homework. Every afternoon, same battle. Voices raised, tears, slammed doors. Step 1. Ground yourself, 3 seconds. One afternoon, she caught herself mid-yell. Instead of continuing, she stopped, dropped her shoulders, took one deep exhale, felt her feet on the ground. This isn't just a calming ritual. This is a biological necessity. If you're still activated, your whisper won't work because your energy will contradict your words. Your child will sense the tension underneath the quiet. Those 3 seconds aren't for your child, they're for you. Before you can regulate them, you have to regulate yourself. Step 2, move closer, within 3 feet. After that breath, this parent did something counterintuitive. Instead of staying across the room, she moved closer to her daughter. Not looming over her, but kneeling down beside her at the table. Now, here's where most parents get it wrong. They whisper from across the room. That doesn't work. Distance communicates separation, and when a child is escalated, separation feels like abandonment or threat. You need to move into their space, but read the room. If getting close makes them panic or recoil, stop. Respect their bubble. Stay just close enough that they can see your face, your body language, your calm presence. Proximity signals safety. It says, I'm not leaving. I'm here with you. If they are flailing, stay just out of range to keep everyone safe. Step 3, lower your voice below normal. Then she spoke, but instead of raising her voice or even using her normal tone, she whispered, not theatrical whispering, and definitely not whispering through gritted teeth. That just sounds like suppressed rage, just genuine, soft whispering. Quiet enough that her daughter had to pause to hear her. That pause is everything. It breaks the momentum of their escalation. Your tone should be warm, not cold or punishing. This isn't about withdrawing your voice as punishment, it's about offering calm as an invitation. Step 4, use a simple, predictable phrase. And here's what she said, I'm here. That's it. Not, you need to calm down. Not, this is unacceptable. Not a lecture about homework or responsibility, just, I'm here. Don't give instructions yet. Don't lecture. Don't explain why they're in trouble. Your child's prefrontal cortex isn't online enough to process any of that. Instead, say something grounding and connective. I'm here. I'm listening. Talk to me. Let's slow down. These phrases aren't about content. They're about safety. You're telling their nervous system that they're not alone in this moment. Step 5. Name what's happening. Her daughter stopped mid-tantrum, looked at her mom, and in that moment of pause, the mom whispered again, you're really overwhelmed right now. That's called affect labeling, which is basically naming it to tame it. It helps the child's emotional brain start to reorganize. When you reflect back what you see, you're helping them make sense of the chaos they're feeling inside. You might whisper, this feels really big. Or, you're so frustrated you don't know what to do. You're not agreeing with their behavior. You're acknowledging their internal experience. And when a child feels seen, their nervous system begins to settle. They don't have to escalate to be heard anymore. Step 6. Offer the next step. Then the mom whispered one more thing. When you're ready, we can figure this out together. She wasn't demanding immediate compliance. She was giving her daughter a bridge from chaos to calm, a path forward that didn't require surrender or shame. Within 20 seconds, from the first whisper to this moment, her daughter's shoulders dropped. The screaming stopped. She started crying instead. And crying, as hard as it is to watch, means the nervous system is releasing. 20 seconds. That's how long it took from the moment she whispered to the moment her daughter softened. She didn't fix the homework problem in that moment, but she stopped the fight. And that created space for real connection, for problem solving, for repair. That's the power of these 6 steps working together. Now, I can practically hear what you're thinking right now. This sounds great, but my kid doesn't respond to quiet. They just get louder. I hear that all the time. And here's the truth. Some children do escalate before they settle, but that doesn't mean the technique isn't working. It means their nervous system is recalibrating. They've been conditioned to expect volume. When you break that pattern, they might push harder at first. Psychologists call this an extinction burst, a last-ditch effort by their brain to get the reaction it's used to. So, if your child gets louder, don't panic. Here's what you do. Stay consistent. Don't match their volume. Keep your voice low. Move closer if you need to. Repeat your grounding phrase, I'm here, I'm listening. Their escalation is a test, not a conscious one, but a biological one. They're checking to see if you're really going to stay regulated. Another thing I hear, this feels manipulative, like I'm faking calm. Let's talk about that. You're not faking anything. You're creating calm within yourself so you can offer it to your child. That's not manipulation, that's parenting. That's co-regulation. You're using your nervous system as a tool to help theirs. And yes, it might feel unnatural at first. That's because you're overriding years of conditioning that says, match the intensity to be heard. And what about older kids or teenagers? They might roll their eyes at whispering. If that happens, the principle still applies. You don't have to whisper in a way that feels babyish. You can speak quietly and seriously. Hey, I need you to hear me. Can you look at me for a second? The volume drop still works because their brain is still wired to mirror you. The proximity still matters because their nervous system still reads safety signals. The tone still regulates because the orienting response doesn't disappear with age. The technique adapts, but the science doesn't change. So let me bring this all together. When your child is yelling, every instinct tells you to yell back. But volume doesn't bring calm. It only escalates their nervous system further. Whispering does the opposite. It interrupts that spiral by surprising their brain and helping them match your calm instead of your chaos. Ground yourself, move close, lower your voice, use a simple phrase, name what's happening, offer the next step. This is a skill, not luck. And like any skill, it takes practice. You might not nail it the first time. You might forget to ground yourself or whisper from across the room. That's completely normal. What matters is that you now know there's another way. But here's what I need you to understand. This technique works in the moment of yelling. But what about when your child gets physical? When objects start flying? When they throw things? When gentle parenting seems to make the aggression worse instead of better? Because here's what no one tells you. Sometimes the very gentleness you're offering, the validation, the calm explaining, can actually fuel more aggression. Not because you're doing gentle parenting wrong, but because there are 5 hidden mistakes that create the opposite of what you want. I break down all 5 in this video. You'll see exactly where gentle parenting accidentally goes sideways and what to do instead.